I don't know if Kash Patel is thinking about his future or if he's capable of thinking at all, but if he is, this Comey indictment's got to make him feel a tad bit uncomfortable. You see, the Fond-du-Lac Fuhrer is now using the Justice Department to wholly and unconstitutionally attack political opponents. He's made it very clear that anybody who's ever hurt his feelings should fear him. First he had Bondi raid Bolton's house over some bullshit, and now he's wholly and completely unconstitutionally had the Department of Justice bring charges against former director of the FBI, James Comey. And in addition to that, he has suggested that more charges are coming against other people he doesn't like. This is some scary shit. This is the exact same stuff that Putin does against political dissidents and dissenters, at least the ones he doesn't defenestrate. It's the same shit Hitler did, and it is in the playbook for every single authoritarian regime in history. Now, thankfully, we do still have some semblance of a functional justice system. Not much of one, but the DOJ still can't unilaterally send people to prison for no reason. And if they can even find a judge that would allow them to take this to court, which seems highly unlikely, they have no practical way of proving that Comey lied to Congress, because he didn't lie to Congress, and we've got all of the documentation to support that. And we know how good Kash Patel is at planting evidence. In fact, I'm sure if it ever does make it to court, their cornerstone exhibit would be a shell casing they claim is from James Comey's gun saying anti-telling the truth to Congress. But that's not really the point. They know that there's almost zero chance they're going to get a conviction out of this. And the only reason they're even trying to charge him with this now, with the exception of the fact that heavy petting Pinochet desperately needs more distractions from the Epstein files, is the fact that at the end of this month, the 5-year statute of limitations would have run out on the crime they claim he's committed. And with nothing else even remotely plausible to charge him with, and all the pressure we all saw the mango molester putting on Pam Bondi to charge him with something, this is their Hail Mary to appease Apricot Adolf and show that the nectarine Nazis have no issue with using the Department of Justice to punish their political opponents. And therein lies the problem, because this sets an incredibly dangerous precedent. First off, if they get away with this without any consequences, they will continue doing it and pushing it as far as they possibly can until innocent people start ending up in prison simply because they disagree with this regime, where they just did their job. And the Kumquat King has already said that his sights are set on James Comey's successor and Trump appointee Christopher Wray, which has got to make the current FBI director and man who perpetually looks like he just saw his grandparents having sex and is horrified but can't look away just slightly uncomfortable. Now, if this is allowed to continue unchecked, this is the next major step in dismantling our democracy and any of its safeguards. Something we've already seen with this indictment, as Happy Meal Hussein pushed out prosecutor Letitia James for refusing to indict on these bogus charges and put in one of his own personal lawyers. So once again, this is where Democrats in Washington need to be throwing a fit and doing everything within their power to make this a fucking problem. Pam Bondi and Lindsey Halligan should be sitting in congressional hearings tomorrow. I mean, it'd be pretty fucking awkward if they're sitting there having to answer tough questions to Congress under oath while they're currently trying to charge somebody with lying to Congress when he didn't lie to Congress. Force them to answer under oath if they pursued these charges under pressure from the president to punish a political opponent, and if they would have brought these charges without that pressure. Because if they answer yes to that, they are admitting to committing a crime, and if they answer no to that, they are lying under oath. And then they are subject to the exact same criminal charges they are currently charging James Comey with. And James Comey needs to sue the shit out of the federal government for this. And Kash Patel should be shitting his pants right around now, because even if Hamburglar Hitler doesn't turn on him just for being a complete and utter embarrassment, he's already lied to Congress under oath about Epstein, claiming that there's no evidence that Epstein ever trafficked anybody. And historically, people in his position have never really been held accountable in the past. Once you get an elected position or a presidential appointment, you get a pass on a lot of things the majority of us would spend the rest of our lives in prison for, even when your political opponents, Democrat or Republican, were in charge. This is in part because it's a good old boys club and, you know, we're not in it. Sort of like the good cop, bad cop thing, where the good cops don't hold the bad cops accountable because they themselves don't want to be held accountable if they ever get caught doing something they shouldn't have been doing. Also because there is a thin line between accountability and what is perceived as political persecution of your opponent. So a lot of times people get a pass for shit they shouldn't have because the people with the ability to hold them accountable didn't like the optics of holding them accountable. But with them setting this new precedent, they better hope that they never lose power. Especially for people with the IQ of a flat tire like Kash Patel, who are too fucking stupid to just give non-answers under oath and just outright lie. Which is why Democrats need to be holding these congressional hearings and doing everything they absolutely can to provide these dipshits with enough rope so they can do what Jeffrey Epstein didn't and hang themselves. Look, guys, the only way to get to the point where they are held accountable, or honestly the only way to get through this at all that doesn't end in authoritarianism and or violence, is to keep the pressure on and keep voting. Every single election between now and the midterms, it doesn't matter if it's state or federal or city council or fucking school board, you need to be out there and supporting progressive candidates and voting for them. And we need to keep the pressure up on all of our candidates that are in office right now. Keep calling them, keep emailing them, keep harassing them and annoying them. Doesn't matter if they're Democrats or Republicans, keep telling them to get out there and do their fucking jobs, represent their constituents, and uphold the Constitution of the United States. Keep going out to protest, show up to town halls, and then when we do finally get to the midterms and beyond, we need to send them a message by showing that there is no amount of gerrymandering or election rigging that is going to silence the people, and that we will will not rest until every single one of these traitors faces accountability. But in the meantime, guys, we are in dangerous times, so stay loud, stay active, but stay safe, and don't get distracted.